Hi, my name is Bailey Nord, and today I'm going to be talking about ADHD and what that means when it's diagnosed to a child and what that means for the family function. I'm currently taking the class Childhood Disorder and Family Function, and this is kind of why I know everything about this. What is ADHD? This is the million-dollar question here. So ADHD is actually when the executive function system in our brains, we all have this function. This is how we prioritize. This is how we can assert our goals and pursue them. This is kind of like, oh, when I decide that I need to clean the bathroom, I'm going to clean the bathroom. That's a goal that I have to do. Or I have a due date on an assignment, and this is me doing it before the due date. Or something as simple as I need to walk the dog today, make dinner. There's several different examples of an executive function system, and we use this every single day. People with ADHD have a um, this develops slower in them. So they kind of struggle in this area of carrying out these goals. Um, and so this is just kind of as it was described in a video I watched, this is the brain self-management system. So this is just how we manage our day-to-day lives. It helps us to ignore distractions and to really prioritize on the things that are important. And so when this is lacking in somebody with ADHD, you can see how their priorities get a little shifted and how maybe they hyper focus on one specific thing that's maybe not as important as something else. Um, they also have a deficit in norep can never say this, norepinephrine and dopamine. So these are the two working hormones that really help this executive function system. So as it already is something that is kind of a delayed maturation, it's also something that they lack they have that deficit and those hormones that really would help aid this in a neurotypical brain. So this also means that the working memory is more limited. Everybody has working memory. It's how you can remember something that someone just told you 10 minutes ago or yesterday or a week ago. We all have our limits here, but people with ADHD, this is more limited. So they may ask you to repeat something multiple times, even if you just said it to them. Um, in this same video, they explained that it's kind of like a whiteboard, and it's as if you're writing down everything that someone's saying, but you're writing really big. So often you're having to erase and write more. And so this kind of working memory can be a struggle for them. And not everyone is outwardly hyperactive. So sometimes your their mind could be going a million miles a minute, and this isn't really shown in their behavior or how they're acting or outwardly portraying themselves. This doesn't mean that their brain isn't going through that. And then there's also the other side of the coin with the emotional regulation. This is why ADHD people need our empathy, and they need kind of some extra patience from us because emotional regulation, they are very sensitive. So this could really hurt their self-esteem. They're already struggling, they're already frustrated in these same things that we may be frustrated with them as well. And their emotional regulation it's not just their attention regulation that is suffering. It is also their emotions. So they may experience things a lot more sensitively. And this is something to really consider when we're treating people, and everybody's taking this class. So you might have a career choice that's going to probably deal with people with ADHD. For me, it's going to be children with ADHD, and I need to remember that there is this emotional side to it as well. So school. This is ironic because I'm going to school to become an elementary school teacher. So this is something that is going to directly impact me and my students that I have. And this is something that is extremely important for me to have awareness about. So academic problems are common in children with ADHD due to difficulties in impulsivity, poor attention to detail, problems with concentration, and the executive functions. So we talked previously, and then this is from Wilmshurst. Um, this is we talked about the executive functions before. If you think about it, school kind of knocks a lot of the boxes that would kind of identify these symptoms of ADHD. So it would make sense that there would be some issues with academic problems, impulsivity, you need order in the classroom. So uh, just blurting out an answer or raising your hand saying umi umi or kind of these things that teachers want order in the classroom, so they're going to possibly reprimand that child. But these are things that this child with ADHD is specifically struggling with. And poor attention to detail, this is extremely necessary to have good attention to detail when you're doing schoolwork. And then problems with concentration and, like I said, those executive functions with prioritizing. So this would be a huge opportunity for teachers to offer more support to the child rather than just reprimanding them, which is directly correlates with me and probably several of you. Family relationships and ADHD. So ADHD affects the entire family system. This is a disorder that may seem minimal, but it really does affect everyone. There was a study done on how siblings of children with ADHD felt. And so these siblings, it came up that there was differences in punishments or reprimanding from parents, how the siblings perceived that they were treated as a whole compared by their parents compared to that of the ADHD child. Since there has to be some more accommodations made, more attention made. And then on top of that, there's also more responsibility on the remaining siblings that do not have ADHD, as chores are going to be a huge issue that's going to come up often, and responsibly carrying out those chores. So knowing your chores, doing them, not forgetting to do them, doing them on time without having to be asked multiple times. As the child gets older, the parents are going to feel a lot more stress on them, a lot more pressure to be naggy, frustration, as well as the siblings are going to feel this too, because these siblings have higher executive functioning systems. So they are going to be able to say, I know that the dogs need to be fed in the morning, so I'm going to just go feed them, or I'm just going to go pick up the slack. And so this is a common thing. Siblings with ADHD are picking up the slack and making more accommodations to that sibling with ADHD. And as much attention as the parents are giving to the child with ADHD, the siblings feel it. So they feel this kind of lack of attention towards them, and they feel as if there was a quote in this specific study about a sibling saying, you know what, they need it more. I may be crying, I may be hurting and in need of support, but my sibling with ADHD, they need this more. And this can feel like rejection, and a lot of the child without ADHD feeling like they must put their feelings aside to prioritize the other child. This also creates a parentified child. So a child that takes on a lot more responsibility, picks up a lot of the slack. Let's say they don't have two accommodating and caring and supportive parents that are going to help this child with ADHD. Or are not capable of it, then that child is going to have to step up and really protect them from the parents. Or I remember there was also another situation in this specific study where they talked about that their child were, or that their parents were not capable of caring for the child in the way they needed. So they really did have to step up and step in between them and take on this huge level of responsibility to make up for the hardships that their sibling with ADHD has. And this can also create feelings of resentment. It can create hardships, strife between the entire family, but it can also, when dealt with correctly and with the right tools and support, it can increase these relationships as well, despite this pressure and despite these hardships. And the parents, there's definitely more pressure on them as the ADHD becomes increasingly severe, or depending on the severity in the child, this parental stress increases as well on many different domains, many different aspects of their life. A lot of it can be socially. Um, so these parents are feeling like they need to make more accommodations, and they do have a child with a disorder. So this is something that they're going to have to um, change their lifestyle, inconvenience themselves, and have to create these different accommodations and different parenting styles. And that can come with a lot of frustration and a lot of parental stress. So relationships, we just talked a lot about the family relationships, but it doesn't just affect those relationships. It can, it says here from Wilmshurst, at least half of the children with ADHD will also have problems in their relationships with peers. So as I said before, ADHD can affect um, school life. It can also affect this peer life and making friends. And this can be very, very hard on the child with ADHD, feeling like, they may have it from all ends. They struggle at school, they struggle at home, they struggle with peers. It does make it harder on them. So I'm going to share some my personal experience and kind of another reason why I really chose this specific disorder. My mom was diagnosed with ADHD. She's always had it for as long as I've known, but she did become medicated probably about 6 to 7 years ago. I no longer live at home, and when she did get medicated, it was a little bit harder at first. She did develop some addiction issues with alcohol soon after being medicated. And now in the past few years, she's became sober, and it is definitely took a toll on our family, and it took a toll. It is my mom. She's married to my stepdad. I'm from a previous relationship that she had a lot longer ago, and so I am by far the oldest sibling. I have two siblings. With I am 7 years apart from my sister and 10 years apart from my little brother. And right now we are going through the process of my sister actually being diagnosed with ADHD. She is 14, but these symptoms have been in and around her since she was in kindergarten. We're just now, I think my parents are just now taking action. Um, and there was a lot of components that contributed to this. But approximately 50% of children with ADHD also have a parent with this same disorder. So this makes sense that my sister would have ADHD because she had a 50% chance of having it. And then when a child is diagnosed with ADHD, it is advised that the entire family receives therapy together. If we had identified these symptoms in my sister sooner, I think it would have been helpful, as well as it probably would have been identified with if my mom had got therapy for us. And we did actually go through some family therapy, and it did help significantly. But it's definitely been hard on our family. Me and my brother oftentimes are picking up the pieces. We're the responsible ones. He's the little brother, I'm the older sister, so we kind of have to tag team to accommodate for my sister, and it has created quite a bit of resentment in our family. And I feel like also me and my brother are always in the position to defend her as well. And we do see differences in parenting with my parents and my sister. Things that I would have totally got in trouble with. I'm looking back now, I'm like, why is she not getting in trouble? And it's because she does have this disorder that can make hardships in areas of her life that I did not have to experience. And And I've noticed that my brother, with me being gone and not in the house for the last few years, I've noticed him really having to step up and take on a lot of her responsibilities. And it's definitely been hard on our family, but it was a great time for me to take this class because now I can appropriately address the situation with a lot more education and knowledge about it. Um, and then ADHD can negatively affect the entire family function without proper care and support. As I mentioned, we did not have proper care and support, and so it did negatively affect us. Um, I didn't include it in here, but I remember reading that in ADHD, it is more common for the um, person to adapt, for the person to have an addiction issue or to later develop one if they were not medicated. This is self-medicating. And so I do feel like my mom did do this. And I think when she went on medication, she continued to try to even self-medicate after then. And then this is when the issue became a lot more apparent to us. I would like to say, though, despite all the hardships, we are in a much better place now. My mom has been sober for almost 2 years now. My sister is going through the process of we're going to get her the correct treatment and support. As a family, we've kind of learned from our experience, and it has been actually wonderful taking classes that I can give input to my family about the things I've learned and really have a different perspective. So this definitely encouraged my empathy to really decrease my frustrations with my sister because I do have a better perspective of the function of her brain. And this was something I wish I had taken a deeper dive into earlier because I do feel like I could have expressed more empathy for her sooner on rather than just being frustrated with, her negligence or feeling like she's lazy or, my own personal resentment when that's not the case and that's not how it should be. So I do have a couple questions for you. Do you know someone with ADHD? Have you found yourself frustrated with these tendencies they may have? How has this class changed your perspective or even this presentation? Has it increased your patience? Have you been able to maybe see things in a different light? For me personally, it definitely has, and it made me evaluate the two direct people that I know have ADHD in my life. And you may not know someone with ADHD specifically, maybe they don't outwardly say that, but if you do see some symptoms, maybe it's time to express some um, empathy and outwardly be more patient with them because you never know what someone's going through. You never know how difficult it may be in their day to day. And I remember the YouTube video that I had cited earlier in this presentation really gave me a different perspective about the self-esteem that and the emotional regulation and how it does deeply hurt them because they are, you can't possibly be more frustrated with them than they are with themselves. And this definitely hit home, I think, for me, and maybe it hit home for you as well. If you are going into a career that may interact with children with ADHD, how has this changed your perspective on how you will proceed? Are there different avenues that you would take to specialize the help or time given or the interactions that you may have with them? So for me personally, obviously, I've talked about my career and how this will immensely, tremendously impact the way that I interact with my students. And this has prompted me to educate myself on not only this specific disorder, but I'm glad that we've been able to cover many disorders in this class because I do feel like I have a stronger understanding of the children that I will come across in my career. And so this may be something that you're going to experience too. Um, Maybe you have a career in social work and you're going to experience many children with disorders. And this is so important to really have this empathy that you need for them you cannot have this empathy if you don't completely understand what they're going through. So anyway, that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening to my deep dive into ADHD And I hope that this you know, leaves in your mind and doesn't just stay in this presentation, that it stays in your minds and your hearts when interacting with people with ADHD and when interacting with people in general. So thank you so much.